Auditing, activity logs, and alerting. Not the most absorbing subject, I'll grant you, but in the context of SC-401, no less important. And I'm going to show you how to do it all right now. So I won't lie to you, the content in this video is not the most absorbing. It's pretty dry stuff, but it's no less important and very relevant to the SC-401 exam. It's all about managing information security alerts and activities. And it's going to cover the following topics. We need to know how to assign Microsoft Purview Audit premium user licenses, how to investigate activities by using Microsoft Purview Audit. That's probably going to be the more meaty topic of this video. We need to know how to configure audit retention policies, analyze Purview activities by using Activity Explorer, respond to DLP prevention alerts in the Purview portal, insider risk activities by using the Purview portal, respond to Purview alerts in Defender XDR and in Defender for Cloud Apps, and perform searches by using Content Search. Now, a lot of these we've been through already, so I'll not drill down in any great detail into things like responding to the alerts. We've been through those already, but let's go through quite briefly some of the more important aspects of this section. So our first topic was assigning Microsoft Purview Audit premium user licenses. Now this one's pretty straightforward. I've relied on my trusty old friend Copilot here to tell me how to do it. You do it through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, admin.microsoft.com. Go to Users, Active Users. Nice and simple, and assign the user a Microsoft 365 E5 compliance license or a Microsoft Purview Audit premium license, depending on how your licensing is bundled. A full M365 E5 license will also do this as well. Tells you here how to do it by PowerShell as well. All the PowerShell commands you need there. Get the MSOL account SKU and then assign the licenses as needed. And important notes, Audit Premium is usually part of the M365 E5 compliance or E5 licenses. Ensure you have enough licenses available. Nice and simple. Next, let's look at how we investigate activities using Microsoft Purview Audit. Okay, so back into the Purview portal for this one. Let's go into Solutions, and right at the top we can see Audit. Now this is a really powerful tool that you can use to pretty much find out whatever you want to know in your Microsoft 365 environment. So right from the off, you can do a search. There's two real sections, search and policies. We'll go through search first. And with advanced audit, you can go back quite some time. So in this example, I will just go back to March the 30th, and you can put a keyword search in for particular content that you want to find. You can choose which admin units to search for. So which of the admin units that you've got set up. So I've got UK admin unit user management for UK specific admins and a US one as well. You could choose based on those admin units, and you can choose which activities to search for friendly names here. So there is literally a ton of activities here. If you scroll through this entire list, it is pretty exhaustive. It's sorted into categories, so you can see here where I've stopped. I'm just on SharePoint list activities here, so you can search for if somebody created a list or created a list column. The possibilities are endless here. So really cool stuff. So if you want to search quickly for a particular setting, so I can search for Teams here, for example, and what we can see here is all of those options are returned. So we can see things like exported messages or requested a Teams export or started a Teams export download or applied a sensitivity label to a meeting. So you could select all of these things or signed out of Teams and then so on or so forth. Then you can enter operations values here separated by commas. So if we hover over the informational alert here. We can search for activities using their specific operation names like file accessed, comma, file modified, or sensitivity label applied. And you can view a list of all the operations names there so you can understand what values you can put in to there. You can search by records types as well. So a pretty big list here of records types that you can put into your search. And you can give the search a name. You can add the users whose audit logs you want to search against. So you can go user specific. You can put in the object ID, file, folder, or site. So when searching for a file, folder, or site, you can specify either the full URL, just part of it, without any spaces or special characters. And the use of suffix wildcard characters is also supported, so you can put that sort of content in. And the workloads to search for, so you can search through a whole list of workloads here, like compliance, for example, Copilot. You can search for the ones you want to put in, your M365 Admin Center, Kaizala, I haven't heard that one in a good while, MCAS, so Microsoft Cloud Security, more commonly known as Defender for Cloud Apps these days. So you can search against all of these things and set it away, and it will return the results, hopefully, that you are looking for. But you can then refine what your search criteria are if it's not going to be appropriate. So you can see the potential of this. It's fantastic. And there's a little informational piece here which tells you that search results might be impacted by audit log retention policies. So activities that happened over 180 days ago will only show up in results for users who have licensing for long-term audit log retention. So do study up on what these limits are for these particular license options. Be aware of that because it might well crop up in an exam question. In fact, I think it's very, very likely to. So do make sure that you read all of the learn.microsoft.com content on audit for Microsoft Purview and familiarize yourself with all of those time limits for how long audit logs can be searched against, and depending on the licenses. So that's the search feature within Audit. We can go to policies here as well and take a look at audit retention policies. So what we can do here is we've got one already set up, and I'll just collapse the side panel. So we have a retain sensitivity for Peter Rising here. Priority is 1, and record types we've got here. So we can see exactly what this is doing. And if I click on it, can I? Yes, I can see exactly what this is doing. It pops out on the right here. So I can't actually edit the name of this policy, but I could edit the description there if I wish to do so. So what is this doing? This is basically creating a policy or editing that policy, in this case, to retain audit logs for up to 10 years based on the Microsoft 365 service where the activities occur, specific activities in the selected services, and the user who is performing the activity. So what are we doing here? Please choose users and or record types to apply this policy to. And if no value is selected, the policy will apply to all values within that field. So you can do it against users, and you can search for those users. You can do it based on record types. So I've put in here sensitivity label policy match, sensitivity label file actions. So you can see those ones that I've selected. I could put in more selections here if I wanted to. And again, there is a lot that you can choose from. Update Copilot workspaces where we've stopped there, for example. Lots of Viva content there as well. So it's pretty extensive what you can do. And you can choose how long to retain the logs that match this policy's conditions before they're automatically deleted. So, and you can go up to 10 years, but no more. You can give the priority that you need to this, and valid priorities are a numerical value between 1 and 10,000, where 1 is considered the highest priority and 10,000 is the lowest priority. So you can save that as needed, and you can go ahead and create other ones as needed. The same principle applies. So very, very useful indeed. So that's audit log and audit retention policies. Now, one of the other things in this section that it wants you to be aware of is analyzing Purview activities by using Activity Explorer. So you'll recall that we've covered Activity Explorer already, and it's present within most of the Purview solutions. You can go into each and you can look at the explorers, and here we have Activity Explorer. So I'll not repeat too much of this particular functionality. We covered it before in all of these individual sections, but you can search through and see these activities, and you can see when they happened, and what you can do is export them and so on and so forth. So be aware of those activity explorers and things of that nature. We're very handily placed in data loss prevention as well, because it also wants you to be aware of how to look at and respond to data loss prevention alerts in the Purview portal. So look at these alerts and learn what actions you can take with these alerts. So we can go in and we can see the user activity summary, and we can manage the alerts, we can make it active, we can assign it to people, and we can add comments in there. And we can also, if we have a security Copilot license, we can summarize that alert or summarize the user activity. As you can see here, it's telling me that Copilot hasn't been set up yet because I don't have a security Copilot license, but that is available to you if you wanted to do so. And you can scroll down all these alerts and you can take the appropriate actions as needed. So do recall that. The same principle for insider risk activities. We've just covered insider risk management in the previous video. Next, we find ourselves back in the Defender portal, or the security portal, if you want to call it that, and cloud app security, or Defender for cloud apps. One of the things it wants you to be aware of how to do is respond to Defender for cloud apps file policy alerts. So just ensure that you know how to do that. We covered cloud app security and how it relates to Purview features in earlier videos in this series. So just ensure that in this particular portal, you are fully aware of how to look at any particular alerts. And we can go into the activity log and we can see the activities that are going to match there. So I have none in this particular example, but just be sure that you know where you need to look for things like this. Defender XDR, again, so Defender for Endpoint, that sort of thing. Just be aware of the ability to look at alerts in the security portal for Defender XDR content. So I don't think you should see too many exam topics for this sort of thing, but just be aware of looking into your endpoint settings for go into your dashboard and make sure you're seeing and aware of anything that could be coming into this area from Purview. And then finally, let's just be aware of the ability to use content search in the Microsoft Purview portal. And you are going to find content search in the e-discovery section these days. So content search is probably in some people's minds the most basic form of e-discovery. Some would disagree with that, but it's quite firmly placed in the e-discovery section now, so that's where it belongs. So here, what you can do is you can create searches for specific content in Microsoft Purview. And what you can then do is put holds on them, look at things like review sets, exports, and specific data sources. So you can go ahead and create a search. You can give that search a name. I'll just call it search 1. Not very inventive, but do put proper names in and descriptions. We can create that search and we can add sources to our search. So we can look to add sources from here or add tenant-wide sources. So let's click on add sources, and there are certain choices we can make in here. We can add all sources in the tenant, which is default, or all sources in this case. We can show for all people and groups, or specific people only, or groups only. And what locations do we want to search against? We can do it against mailboxes and sites, mailboxes only, or sites only. So this is very Exchange and SharePoint / OneDrive specifics. And we can select from the users in our tenant on the right here to search against. So I'll not go through that. I've covered this on the channel before, but what you can do is go through this process, and then once you've completed your search, you can then add the contents of your search to a review set. You need to have the data source completed first though. So in this example, I'm going to select people only, and let's just pick on Rachel Green, for example, and Stella Gibson. And what we can then do is we can click on manage to fine tune what we're going to do here for these users, so we can see what we are working with, and then we can choose whether we want to do the mailbox and the sites or whatever. I'll just leave everything selected here and save that. And then what I can do is I can do specific queries by condition builder, or I can search by file, which is a preview feature, and I can attach the files that I want to search against. But condition builder is the more frequent way to do it. So I can put in keywords equal to is the only criteria I can do. So I'll just leave that blank for now. I'll show you what you can do for adding conditions. You can put in key QL, date, subject, title, participants, item class. You can show more, and you can get into detail here. You can put all conditions for the mailbox site properties in, or you can put some common ones in, Exchange Online mailbox ones, SharePoint and OneDrive ones. I'll just leave all in this case. And you can go ahead and run that query. For the keywords, as we've got Rachel in there, I'll just type in Ross, because I'm sure in previous tests I've put the name Ross in there, for example. And you can choose the search results that you want. You can have statistics, summary of collected data, estimates, arranged by top indicators. So you can include categories, refine your view to include people, sensitive information types, etc. Include query keywords, report, include partially indexed items, or a sample, a representative selection, for example. But more likely you'd put in statistics. So I'll put in include categories, for example, there. And then you can go ahead and run that query. And it'll take as long as it needs to take to troll across all of the relevant information for those particular users or groups in the scope of your content search, and it calculates the time remaining, and it goes off and does its stuff. So as I suspected, that actually didn't take too long there, because I didn't expect it to, with this being a demo tenant, not much information in it, but it's returned some results, and what we can see is we've got total matches of 23. We've got 1 out of 2 data sources, 1 out of 4 locations. We've got some trends, etc., 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 etc. We can see a sample of what was returned, hopefully here. No results yet, because we didn't select that in the query. So we could actually generate the sample results from here. So what we can do next, much like you can do in eDiscovery Premium, and this is a fairly newer feature to just content search, is that you can add this to a review set. So there's a new pay-as-you-go billing model in effect, which is important to take note of. I always call this sort of thing out. Your organization may get billed for processing and storage of non-M365 AI interactions, so do be aware of that. add to a new review set, or you can add it to an existing review set. Now I can't select that one, and I'm wondering if that is because that is purely connected to eDiscovery Premium perhaps, but we'll not dwell on that. We'll just call this RS1, for example, for review set 1. Tenant-wide source configuration, you can configure those settings here. That's all also grayed out. Select items to include in the review set. So index items that match your search query, index items that match your query, and partially indexed items, or just partially indexed. OneDrive and SharePoint files, the latest version only or recent versions. You can select folder items, only items that match the query, or all items, even if they don't match, etc., etc. So just make sure that you're happy with what you've got here. Things like organize conversations into an HTML transcript, access links like cloud attachments and messages. So there's lots of options here that you can choose, and we can add these to the review set. And then once they're into that review set, you can actually see the results of your content search, which is really cool. Now again, that didn't take too long to return the results, and we can see here a list of things that it's picked up. It's picked up some emails, some Teams, interactions, and so on and so forth. So I've actually, if you're wondering why I've blurred some of this out, it's because it's picked up some previous communication compliance results, which I put in for these particular users, where there was a bit of vulgar language included. So that's why I've taken that unsavory content out of the equation. And that is one of the powerful features of communication compliance as well. But what you can do with this is you can get an overview, you can look at some analytics features, and you can run document and email analytics, you can show reports, you can run queries against the results. So that's really cool. You can take some actions here. You can export the results. You can commit redactions to a PDF, add to another review set, or query the report. You can do some tagging and tag files, and you can manage those tags, turn off pagination, hide advanced filters. So there's a lot you can now do in content search, which used to be only available in the more advanced e-discovery. So this is really, really cool stuff that we're now seeing available within content search within Microsoft Purview, now included within the e-discovery solution. So we also have something called Process Manager here. So let's go into this. So what we can do here is we can track processes related to searches, review sets, and holds. So to download a CSV report, we'll select the download list, and we can learn more about Process Manager here. So what we can do is we can look to add to the review, and we can look at that overview, and we can download the report. So another feature to be aware of. Content search has really come a long, long way. And that's it, folks, for another video. We're getting very close to the end of this series now. Only 1 or 2 videos tops to complete the series. I hope you've enjoyed it. Drop me a like and a comment and a subscribe if you have been following along and you found this useful. And I would very much love to hear from you all. Thanks for watching. Until I see you next time, take care, stay safe, and travel well. Bye-bye.